Good evening, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Onegaishimasu. Nice to see you all. Tonight I'm going to read you Shukshu number 1, our motto. Let us experience universal mind that loves and protects all creation and helps all things grow and develop. To know the unification of our mind and body and to be one with the universe is the ultimate purpose of our study. The 4 major principles to experience the unification of mind and body. Number 1, we rest in the one point in the lower abdomen. Number 2, we are completely relaxed. Number 3, our weight is naturally underside. And number 4, ki extends infinitely in all directions. All right, so tonight is the final night of our the 20 sets of key principles. This last subject tonight is the 5 principles of management. When we hear that, of course, I would guess that most people think of a company, for-profit company, managing the other employees, whether you're the owner or you're just a hired person. When we talk about management, we're usually talking about for-profit companies. But I would like to suggest that the same principles apply to the running of a dojo or a key society or even a key federation. And I'd like to have us look at it that way as well. Not only that, but I notice quite often when I hire a new manager to, or maybe promote someone up to the level of manager in my company through the years, I usually have to remind them that they're not managing other people. Management means you're managing yourself. And if you manage yourself properly, then your actions will automatically benefit everyone in the company. And not just everyone in the group, but everyone in your community. So I think maybe the thing we have to think about most when we think about any kind of service is ambition. Of course, ambition is a natural condition for us as human beings. We want to excel, we want to succeed, and we want to benefit usually those that are closest to us. But just like in Entoku, that limits our abilities tremendously. So we want to learn to have ambition. If you're going to have ambition, then let's learn to have ambition for everyone in the company, everyone in the group, and again, in fact, everyone in the community. So that, for me, that's the way I look at this, both from the position of a company. My experience, as limited as it is in my own company, but also I probably have more experience running a dojo or managing a group of people in terms of a key society or key federation. And, you know, so tonight I'd like to, as we go through this, think of it a little more broadly than just simply a for-profit company. Okay, let's do a little key breathing first. Before I read the 5 principles of management, the old translation and the new translation, Can I ask Sayaka Reasoner to read the 5 principles of management in Japanese, please?
経営の5原則。1、まず自らプラスの人となる。2、利己心を捨てて社会の目から自分の仕事を見る。3、心を鎮め常に天下の体制に留意する。4、事業は人なりと心得、その育成に努力する。5、利を得たら社会に還元する心がけを持つ。
Great, thank you very much. Very nice. All right, so I'll read the 5 principles of management, the old translation or the original translation. Number 1, first become a positive person yourself. Number 2, do not work for selfish gain, but see how your work benefits others. Number 3, be calm enough to be aware of larger trends. In society and in the world, excuse me. Number 4, always make efforts to help your employees grow and develop. And number 5, return your profits and benefits to society in some way. Right, the 5 principles of management. This is the new translation that Sayaka and I came up with. Number 1, first, be positive. Second, forget personal benefit and work to benefit others. Number 3, practice calmness and be aware of the trends in your business. Number 4, train people with the idea that they are the future of the business. And number 5, have a mind to return profits to your community. This is just beautiful. So, as I mentioned before, I want to look at this not just like a for-profit company, but at the same time as if it's a management of a dojo or a key society or a key federation. And also that maybe it's speaking to every single one of us as students. Because even if you are not managing a group of people in your dojo or in your company, you are definitely practicing how to do that. And because we are all learning to manage ourselves. When we come to a training ground, a dojo, a place of training, we have a lot of bad habits that we're not even aware of, right? And when we start training and we learn, oh my goodness, I have a lot of self-management to work on before I can ever manage other people. And the same thing happens in a company. And what we learn, or what I've noticed, is that as we work on managing our own self, automatically we're already managing everybody else around us, if you want to call it managing. In other words, if the work that I'm doing, the noticing that I'm doing that is changing my subconscious mind little by little every day, then it's also changing my relationship with everyone else around me, because I'm changing as a human being. And if I'm changing to the good or to the positive, then I'm benefiting everybody who knows me, not just those that are close to me. The first one here is be positive. First, be positive. So I don't think anybody can just be positive because somebody tells you to be positive. Of course, we have to have some kind of insight into what is this thing positive? What does this mean? You know, and maybe it means many different things to different people. But for me, it means being grateful. I don't see how positive attitude can take place if that attitude is not fed or supported by a sense of gratitude for being in the position we're in. And again, this may mean just the very day we walk in the dojo, the very day we're hired into the company. That has to make us grateful that this opportunity, this wonderful opportunity is taking place in our lives. You know, we talk about having beginner's mind. And so we have beginner's mind when we're a beginner. There is a sense of delight and in the adventure of it all. But sometimes as we go along, our sense of delight in that venture gets a little gray, gets a little old. We get a little used to it, and we lose that sense of brightness. So having a beginner's mind should be, as we're practicing, becoming more and more prevalent. And that means that our sense of adventure, the delight in the adventure, has to continually grow and develop along with everything else. So in other words, this, and again, is this, what's this fed by? This is fed by a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to discover. To discover what? To discover about who we are, to discover about ourselves. So this, be positive, first be positive is not a small thing. It's a kind of a recognition of this great opportunity that we're being given by the universe. Number two, forget personal benefit and work to the benefit of others. I love this. How many of you have been able to forget personal benefit permanently in your life? I don't know about that. That's asking a lot. You know, this whole idea of being selfless. Yes, when we're engaged in the actual act of serving, we are selfless. We forget ourselves. But I think probably the moment we begin to reflect again on ourselves, we do think of how is this benefiting me and those that I'm closest to. And that's a natural thing to have happen. So it's not necessarily wrong, but it does limit us, doesn't it? So this whole business of service, of helping others, it says, you know, working for the benefit of others. This is in Toku. And when we're actively engaged in this, if we've got all of our mind and body engaged in this activity, we're basically selflessly ambitious for others. I love that idea of being ambitious for others. So I think that this is an action. It's not so much an idea. It's not so much something that we should do. It's something that we are practicing whenever we're reaching out to support someone else. Okay, number three, practice calmness and be aware of the trends in your business. So I suppose if we're really anxious about the responsibility that we've been given, again, in the company or at the dojo, then we won't be calm and we won't notice what opportunities are emerging right in front of us. And it always comes in an interaction, a play between yourself and others. So if we're calm and we're listening and observing, noticing what's going on in our life, then these creative opportunities, these trends in our society will affect our work in our dojo or in our company. I think that's very important. Number four, train people with the idea that they are the future of the business or the dojo. Every single person that you are responsible for in your company or in your dojo is the future of that dojo. Every single one of you is the future of Aikido. Do you think of yourself that way? Maybe not. And it's not something to be anxious about or ambitious about necessarily, but to take seriously that your training, every single thing you do, every day you come to the dojo, every day you show up at work, every effort you make in regard to this management situation benefits others automatically. And will continue to do so as you go and develop throughout your career, whatever that career happens to be. Number 5, have a mind to return profits to your community. And I think I would want to say what the first one says, the old translation, which adds not just profits, but benefits. Because, of course, returning profits just means donating funds. But benefits, your company and your dojo has something particularly unique to offer that no one else, that no other company or no other dojo can offer in your community, in your area. So it's the benefits that come from that particular well, I want to say talent or particular advantage that you have, that skill that you've developed. It might have to do with some kind of equipment that you have in your company that you can use on the weekends to support other people. It may be just that you're very, talented in some personal way. And then you can use that talent, not just to make money for yourself, but to benefit others through your work in the dojo, for instance. So and I could go on and on and on. I mean, you can pick out whatever particular talent or what a particular skill or intelligence that you have, and make sure that you're returning that to the community around you that benefits everyone in your community. Too many of us, of course, work just for the benefit of ourselves and our family. And again, that's not wrong. And that's always going to be there. But it's so limiting. And you have so much, every one of us has so much to offer that we haven't even discovered yet. And it's only when we're making this kind of an effort that I've been talking about tonight, this business of having ambition for everyone and serving everyone in this way, that we can discover all the creativity and that lies within us. Okay. So it's time for you to go to your rooms and have your discussion. So I will see you back here in 20 minutes. Aloha.
So we have Alaria raised her hand.
Hello, Sensei.
Hello.
So my group had Tracy Reasoner Sensei, Melee Stokesbury Sensei, Christoph Sensei, Maggie, and Roy. We didn't come up with a particular question, but I'll just share kind of a little bit from everyone. So we had 2 teachers in the group, and they just brought up how all of these 5 principles are very, very relevant and very useful in the classroom.
What do you mean, school teachers?
Yes.
You had 2 school teachers in the group.
2 school teachers.
I see. Okay.
There was discussion on how the vocabulary in some of these principles having to do with the words like business and client kind of might imply that what we do, that everything we do in life has to do with a business-oriented mentality. So there was someone who was a little bit struggling with the vocabulary of it. And the first principle, be positive, someone brought up in the workplace the importance of he said there are employees who are honest and there are employees who are dishonest, and you must implement control so that the honest employees don't become tempted to become dishonest.
Oh, wow. Somebody is concerned about that. Okay, so I want to thank you very much. There's a lot there, and I want to remind everybody what came up during the last question there, and that is that when something disturbs you, when you find yourself worried about something, like the fact that these management principles happen to mention the word business. There's no word client in there anywhere, but the word business is in there. It doesn't say money, it says business. So if you think it's too mercenary of a word to use, then erase money from your mind. It's your mind and it's your business that is reflecting to you. The same thing is true with what was the second thing you said about the other difficulty? Oh, being afraid that the bad people in the company would infect the good people in the company, something like that. Yeah, well, I guess that's a concern, but it's just like darkness of any kind. It's like the negative people. There are negative people in our society. How do we deal with things that's come up many times in these classes? How do we deal? And what is the spirit of non-dissension? How do we deal with negative in Aikido? How do we do that? We do that by being positive. We don't do that by fighting the negative. We don't do that by trying to shoo away the darkness. Go into a dark room and try to shoo away the darkness. It doesn't work. You just become dark like everything else. So you just turn on the light. So if you're concerned with your employees, some of them being negative, then infect them with positivity. Support them more, not less. You know, it's like in the Bible it says the Lord, that God spends all his attention on the black sheep. You know, that's giving positive support to those that need it. The people that are not going to cheat you, that are good people, let's say, in your company, they're already not a problem. So they need less of your support than the others. But quite often we tend to get together with the people that we like and feel that we're being supported by, and put all of our attention in that basket. And these people that are maybe having issues have even more issues, because then they start to feel left out, left behind, and not supported. You see, so it just gets darker. The more we either ignore it or try to fight against it, the more we infect it with darkness. So that's what we're doing here in Aikido. And our practice is to begin to adopt these principles. And when they make us uncomfortable in some way, then we sit and we look, we notice. Why? What is it? What is it that's going on within us? That's our practice. And I know everybody's doing the best they can. So may we continue with another one.
We have a question from Olaf Schubert Sensei.
Hello, Sensei. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello,
In our
hello.
group, were, in our group were Kayomi, Vernon, and Andre. And yeah, we had a good discussion about all 5 principles. Something that was discussed was number 5, how returning of the benefits to your community is kind of inevitable, as your membership comes from the community. So everybody in the dojo, everybody you are teaching in the dojo is from the community and goes back to the community as soon as they leave the dojo. So we have this kind of ripple effect anyway when we do our dojo business in teaching Aikido. So it's not always something that we have to go out extra to return something to the community. We are doing that every day that we teach our students. And then on number 3, there came a question up. Practice calmness and be aware of the trends of your business. And the question there was, how much of this being aware of the trends of your business has to do with measurements and analytics, or is it more kind of an awareness, consciousness thing that you have to feel?
Well, maybe if I can take the second question, maybe that depends on the business you're in. There may be some technical data that is essential to catching the trends of the business for certain kinds of computer companies, let's say, for instance, or data collection companies, for instance. But I think it's much more likely for most of us in business or dojos that our responsibility is to intuit, to be paying attention to the zeitgeist that surrounds us enough that, if you'll permit me to use a German word there, around us enough that we get a feeling of this. Again, it's like we were talking about, where does creativity come from? It comes from noticing. It comes from paying attention. When we're in attention and we're supporting all the people around us and in the community, we're getting what's going on. We're feeling what is the changes that are happening. And those are automatically being reflected in our company. They're not necessarily things that the management has to even think about. You just have to pay attention because your company is changing all around you all the time. And sometimes the management can be dragging the whole thing back. Certainly in a dojo, if you're the head instructor or the chief instructor of that organization, and you're not changing the way all your students are changing and the way the community and the world is changing, then maybe you're just kind of an old fuddy-duddy, just an old-fashioned kind of person. So you want to be leading the charge in that. As a manager, you want to be the one that is more than anyone else supporting change and development, because that's how the company stays alive, and that's how the teaching in Aikido stays alive. What was the first question you asked me, or the first thing you said about number 5, returning the profits to the community? Oh, that's automatic if you're teaching Aikido. Well, I would say it's also automatic if you're running a company in the right way. Your employees should be so, we have the word in English, stoked, so excited to be involved in your company and the changes and everything, the creativity that's taking place in your company, that when someone else asks them, oh, what do you do? Oh, I have this wonderful job working with this company. That's the way a company should affect the community. Because you know that when a man or woman that's working for you goes home to their family at night, think of the different way that they teach, that they treat their spouse and their children. Because when they leave They don't have to take the work with them, but they take the feeling of gratitude with them. So this is really, really important. And I think like any dojo or company that's being run supportively and creatively, it's automatic, as you say. Okay, thank you.
I see Alexei has his hand up.
Yes, hello, Alexei.
Hello, Sensei. Hello, everybody. We had a nice discussion in our group, but mainly everybody is understand this principle and try to follow. But we noted that in a new translation, last three principles, I would say, were limited. That, for example, trends from society and the world were limited to business. Training help employees to grow and develop were also limited to business, I would say, and even return profit was limited from society to community.
Yeah, and
Why
it says
what was
profits.
so?
Yeah,
Huh?
no, you're right. And also, like I pointed out in number 5, it also includes the word benefits in the, okay? So let me remind you, if I may, that all that extra stuff, the way it's written in the old, it's not what Toi Sensei said. What we're giving you is what Toi Sensei said. So,
Okay.
okay, so he is specifically aiming at a for-profit business here. What I'm suggesting, I'm trying to take it a little bit further and saying, let's be a little bit more liberal. But I didn't do that with the actual principles because that's not what he said. But whoever did the first principles was well aware of exactly what you're saying. And it's a really good point. Yeah. And I think that's it. Somebody else said why is it all oriented to business, you know? I don't mind that so much because I think everything is business. Relationships are business, but not if you're thinking of business as monetary, money, but exchange, connection. So the word busyness, I don't know. That's a funny word, huh? We're very busy. Oh, I'm in business. I'm very busy. A busy person. Yeah. So I don't know. The language and yeah, is so difficult. And not only that, but for you, it's not even your native language. So you're hearing all this, and probably it has different connotations for you even than it does for us, or additional connotations. You know, and as you can see from the way people have responded to this, that even the original English speakers, native English speakers, also see this quite differently and are affected very differently by the words that we use. I just wanted to stick as close as I could with what Toi Sensei said. And then when we have these discussions, then it's our opportunity to say, well, look, doesn't this also apply in these more generous and universal terms? Okay, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, someone else. Is there anyone else?
David Hepa has his hand up.
Okay.
Hello, Sensei, everybody.
Hello, David.
Steve.
Hello.
Hi. I don't know how to raise my hand on the thing, so I just raised my hand. But I was with Thomas Ziegler and Lin Sensei, and maybe a Jack friend. I'm not sure where he's from.
He's
But,
from Honoka'a.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I think we came down to self-management when we talked about it. And then I brought up that when I first started the dojo and sharing without reward, you know, like all the instructors, I couldn't believe how every single one of them helped me no matter what it was. It was just amazing. And it kind of really blew my mind at that time that it was happening, you know, with all the different instructors. We have a lot of high level instructors in our dojo, so, and they're all just so selfless with their teaching. And then, and as I got to, you know, years and years go by, then I started teaching, and I noticed when you put all your attention on the students, you move way more freely. you know, and that's what you're always talking, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you're back in class, you kind of move clumsy again. So I don't know why it's like that. But anyway, and then also, it's pretty much like if we just do dojo etiquette and pay attention, then we're in this feeling already of what we have to do. But I was involved with another group, a Hawaiian healing group on Zoom too, and I would share some of our principles with them, and they kind of blow their mind on the simplest things that we talk about all the time. And these are people who practice too, you know, not just guys off the street. So they can understand what when I say something that I've been taught by Sensei, Kurta Sensei, and you know, even Tohei Sensei, of those all the things we do. So you really appreciate like a lot of those little, you know, paying attention stuff. You know, it kind of yeah, and that's all I have to say. But yeah.
Well, thank you very much, David. Thank you. I'm always really grateful to hear when somebody has talks about the good experience in the dojo. There's a small person behind you, hiding behind you.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm just really pleased. You know, you're right. We do have. You know, my response to this is we do have many very highly developed instructors in our dojo, and we're all, at least I am really grateful that we do, and I hope they keep on trucking. I hope they keep on living forever, because it's a wonderful thing to be a part of a dojo that has this. And really, this is, I have to say, this is because of our teacher, Suzuki Sensei, because so many of us trained with him, and he was such a compassionate and charismatic person that he kept many people actively committed and wanting to teach and help people and spread this, the good feeling that they were experiencing. So that's what you fell into when you came.
Yeah.
And we're so happy that you came. And so thank you for that nice comments.
Thank you, Sensei.
Okay, is there anyone else? I think that's everyone. So listen, thank you very much for all this time we've spent doing the 20 sets of principles, which we've now finished with. And I would like to mention to you, I'll put this in writing also next week, but for the last 2 years, roughly, Sayaka Reasoner and I have been working closely with Sachiko Tohei and Shinichi Tohei Sensei on a series of Tohei Sensei's comments, which have never been published before. Some of them will sound familiar because you've heard them, they're part of Aikido training, but they've selected, I think 37 of these. And the reason they're selected is because they're going in a new, it's like similar to our Book of Days, but it's called a day-to-day book. And it's been printed already in Japanese and in English, but it can't be sent to the United States yet because it's more than a letter. It's a book, and no packages are allowed to be sent. I don't know if you know this, from Japan to the United States at this time. So she tried to send me the first one, and Sachiko-san did, and she said you cannot. So we have to wait for the actual thing. But starting next week, we'll be going through these 37 sayings of Tohei Sensei, which I think you'll really enjoy. And again, these are, of course, this is just another way to examine more deeply, more completely, more openly Tohei Sensei's original language and original words, and his original, because that was his way of supporting us. That was his teaching, is the way he reached out to us to support us. And it's still now, what do we call it? echoing down through the ages. I mean, we still have all this material. And so I really like to use it this way, so that in this kind of opening up discussions that you can have between yourselves and with me. So thank you very much for attending. And I'll remind you, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock will be Pinchas Sterling's Joden test, which I know he's looking forward to. And then Sunday will be a key meditation, key breathing class. First thing at 7 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock, we have the special Spanish monthly class. And that will be for everyone. The subject Sunday for the Spanish class will be following the way of the universe. Okay. Aloha. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.